Hello and welcome to another episode of the Limitless podcast by me, Noonan Afusi. Today I've got an amazing guest called Kristy Morris, who is the owner of Kailo spas, supplements. She is a serial entrepreneur and I'm so excited to have this conversation with her. Okay, Kristy, welcome to the Limitless podcast.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, and welcome to Dubai. You've been coming quite a lot, haven't you, to promote Kailo? Am I saying it right?
Kailo.
Yes. Kailo, to promote Kailo.
Yeah, for the last 12 months we've been going back and forth. Last year I had 5 trips here and my husband did 7 trips. So yeah, we feel like we're starting to really connect to Dubai.
Yeah, I've been to quite a few of your events actually, where like the immersive,
yes.
and then you've got your gorgeous smoothies.
Yes.
But am I right that you started in spas?
Yeah, so we started, Kailo was originally born Kailo Wellness Medi-Spa in 2018 in Australia, and we still have that Medi-Spa, and then what's grown out of that has been the Kailo nutrition and our events, etc.
And what like if I was to go to the spa, what would I see?
So you would walk in and we have everything on offer from cosmetic to longevity medicine, high-level skin treatments, and then we have the wellness side, so nutritionist, dietitian, IV therapy, and then we have more your day spa side as well. So you can do your massage body treatments. So to give context, we started with 6 practitioners in the business, now we're at over 40 because we're a 7-day-a-week business and we've expanded all the different modalities.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's like your one-stop space for luxury and wellness all in one, but it feels like you can relax and you don't have to dress up to come in, or we've kind of got that more friendly vibe.
Yeah. I mean, I would be living in a spa if I owned
Come to Brisbane.
I would be there all the time. Give me all the longevity. Let's start in the beginning. Yeah. And your parents, they owned a McDonald's franchise.
Yes, so back in the early 80s when McDonald's was very new in Australia, so I was only 4 years old when my parents went into McDonald's, so they were one of the first in Australia, and they owned 6 McDonald's restaurants when I was growing up.
Amazing.
So I definitely got to see the hard work and input that they had to do. It was so early. I mean, McDonald's didn't have breakfast or anything back then. It wasn't 24 hours like it is today. So yeah, very early.
And what did you, I mean, obviously you got your entrepreneurial streak from growing up and seeing that. What did you notice that your family had to give up to run, a successful franchise?
I think, and I remember it vividly, my dad originally was an Australian professional rugby league player. So he, in my early days, was often travelling anyway. But when the McDonald's opportunity came about, you had to move to Sydney, do 12 months of training, no payment. So my mum was back in Brisbane managing the family side, working 2 jobs to make that opportunity happen. And I grew up watching them, I guess, work as a team. I think it's more the team, seeing a husband and wife work together, support each other. And when they went into the first McDonald's stores, they both worked full-time, running drive-through, doing it all. I would be there till Friday night, like late after school, sitting in the drive-through watching, sometimes being allowed to hand out the money. So, yeah, I think just watching the sacrifice was dad had to be away from family and not earn money, and then mum's sacrifice was having to support. So, yeah.
Yeah, because it's a family business, isn't it? So everyone has to kind of muck in and help. And what was it like growing up at school, with your parents owning the franchise? Did it kind of impact anything, or did...
I think as a kid, it was kind of cool because Friday afternoons was always McDonald's afternoons. So, I'd have friends that would all come home, and we'd go into the store, we'd get to go and play in the playland, go behind the scenes and eat as much McDonald's as we want as a kid. So I think, that was fun. Yeah. And I guess I didn't know any different. So I was used to being picked up and going into work with them after. And sometimes it would be a manager from work who would come and get me because mum and dad were too busy on the floor running shifts at McDonald's, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel really lucky to have had that experience.
Yeah. I think it's just such a good training ground, isn't it? In the beginning. And did you, have to help out and work out quite a lot?
Yeah, always helping. And then from the age of 12, I was rostered 1 shift a week. And then from the age of 14, 2 shifts a week. And so it was just normal to go and work.
Yeah. Well, I can see why you're such an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because then at 24, you opened a coffee shop.
Yes. Yeah. So I owned it's not over here, but it's called Glory Jean's Coffee. Actually, it was an ex-McDonald's family member that opened up Glory Jean's in Australia and started this franchise. And I thought I may want to go into McDonald's one day, and so I said to my dad, I feel like I need to try something that's small and much more manageable. So I opened Glory Jeans when I was 24.
Can I just say that is like incredible for a 24-year-old to open their own coffee shop. I was definitely not thinking about doing that at 24, and I think so many 24-year-olds as well. I mean, it's different now, like entrepreneurship is more looked at, but back then, like, well done.
Oh, thank you. I think because of the McDonald's training and how many staff work in the McDonald's, the thought of opening a franchise with that support that really you'd only have 4 or 5 staff versus 100 staff seemed okay. Like, it didn't seem as scary because I'd been managing McDonald's in my late teens anyway, like 18, 19, 20. So if I look back on it now, I think that, yeah, wow, I can't believe I did that. But at the time, it didn't seem scary. My mum wasn't initially on board.
Yeah.
She was like, you're too young. And Dad was, no, she's doing the research, she wants to do it.
Yeah.
We should let her do it.
And how did the coffee shop do?
You know, it was really, initially it went really well, and we had the highest hour sales in Queensland, and I was below a high-rise building, and then it's a company called Flight Centre, and they moved out of the building, so that the whole, 12 stories was empty. And so it was a real struggle there after that for about 8 months. So then I got a job at Virgin Airlines in HR to earn a full-time salary, so I didn't have to pay myself, to then keep the cafe running until I could sell it. And then about 12 months later, I was able to sell it to another franchisee who had a few stores and could see that in time that would fill back up, and he had the other businesses that could carry it, whereas I didn't have that. So, yeah.
And what was, because HR is such a, I mean, now that running the business that you've got, those skills in HR have probably come into so much use for your business now.
Yeah, and I think working for an airline like Virgin has taught me a lot about culture as well. Like, Virgin Airlines is all about culture, all about their team, their people. And so I feel really lucky to have worked for a company like that. Was one of the best experiences I ever had, was working for Virgin Airlines. Yes, it was incredible.
And what was it about? Because was Richard Branson still quite involved in it?
Very.
Then?
Yeah, so he would come out, you would often get the opportunity to meet with him or listen to him. He would take some of the head office people or crew out, and I think what it taught me is that you're allowed to bring ideas to work and they'll be listened to. And I think that's something that I like to translate into business, because they used to have what's called your Virgin Flair, and you would be graded on that. If you didn't bring a certain amount of flair every month, that was one of your KPIs. So you had to always be original and come into work with something unique or different. And really what they're teaching you is the confidence to be able to come forward. It wasn't about testing you. It might have felt like it, but it was really about getting you to come out of your shell.
Yeah, and he's so good at that, isn't he? Because I think Richard Branson is one of these people who has made so many mistakes, and he just he doesn't make it mean anything about him. He doesn't have it hold him back. And I love the fact that he brought that into... I didn't know that he had that. Was it Flair? Was it
Virgin Flair?
Virgin
it was
Flair.
part of your KPI.
That.
So you'd have all these achievement drive, attention to detail, and I can't remember all of them now, but Virgin Flair, and you would be graded on it. Yeah, because I was cabin crew earlier in the piece before I did the cafe, and that's when I first started understanding the grading system. So that when I went into HR, I was also on the flip side, where then I was teaching managers on how to support their team into bringing out their Virgin Flair. And you just saw actually the innovation of people coming to work and coming out of their shell, and they were originally really shy, and I think how amazing is that? So forever grateful for that experience.
And I think it's just so, it really goes back, like you said, what you're teaching people is that you have a voice, and I think so much of that can be missed today in the corporate world.
And I think that company in Australia was really ahead of its time, and that's why I've got friends that are still there, been there 20 years, they don't want to leave, because once you've worked for a company like that, you don't really, it's hard. Where else are you going to go that has that same type of culture? I think maybe today it might be different. More businesses, there's the Googles, the Spotifys and all of that now, but back then there was none of that.
And as an ex-headhunter, I think culture is so important, because when I would try and headhunt someone out of a business, if someone wasn't happy at work and they didn't like their boss, I could offer them, honestly, $500 more a month, and they'd be like, yeah, I'm gone. But if the culture was right, the people were right, I could offer them 10,000 extra a month, they wouldn't go. So it's such a good way to hold on to stuff. And do you think that's something you've really brought into your business?
Yeah, I feel Kailo as a brand and as a team, we have a really strong foundation of women. It's all women, and I think the culture is to support each other. And to manage that amount of women, we've always had a rule that if there is a problem, bring the solution forward. It's not about who said what or who did what. There's no point talking about that. Let's just go, this is what's unfolded, how do we do it better? And where did we go wrong? And I think as a team, and we've got incredible leaders that also follow through on that regularly. And it's not easy. I mean, you're always going to have challenging times with staff, but overall we have an incredible team, and I think that they all are able to bring an essence of who they are to work comfortably, and we support that.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to the all women because I think that's so interesting. But so let's say you're at Virgin, you're running the cafe, you're HR manager director, and then you got married, had children, and then did you go into business with your husband?
Yeah, so my first husband and I actually then decided to go into McDonald's. So we went down that journey where he then wasn't being paid for a year, and because the system is still the same to this day, and we had 2 children together. And then we had McDonald's stores together, and I had done all my training, which was part of, before I left McDonald's in my early 20s, before I went to be cabin crew, my father was like, if you ever want to go into McDonald's, do all your training now, get all they have all these certificates so that when you come back, like, it won't be as long a process. So yeah, my husband and I went through that journey, and then eventually we didn't stay married, but yeah.
Yeah, and what would you say to anyone? Because I've got a number of friends who are currently going through a divorce. How old were your children?
Young. So my eldest, Noah, was 5, and my daughter was 15 months old when we separated.
Wow,
yeah,
really
very young.
How did that divorce impact you emotionally as a woman running a business?
Well, it was a very complicated scenario because here you are as a husband and wife. The legacy of the McDonald's comes through my family side. He was the main person, and it can only be in one person's name as the franchisee. So he became the franchisee. I was the mum at home initially, having the children, and we'd agreed on those roles initially. And I think for me, the complication was my parents came from nothing, built up this incredible opportunity with McDonald's. Then we were able to go through that journey. And I think initially it was the shame of, how do I walk away from a marriage knowing that I'm not going to walk away with the McDonald's? And really that took a 3-year process mentally, or 4 years actually, probably even longer, to accept that and work through the guilt of that. That was a really tough time. And not because my ex-husband's not an amazing father or any of those things. We're now on really good terms, and we've had to work really hard. But then I've got 2 brothers who were not happy about their now ex-brother-in-law having their father's legacy, and so it's been a very complicated, tough emotionally, but we've come out the other side, and I think everything is exactly how it's meant to be.
And when and again, this is really for women and I guess men as well who are in those early stages, the bit where it's like they're 2 young kids, you're heartbroken, you've got the business. At that time, does it feel like it's never, what does it feel like when you're in the midst of it?
I think if I can put myself back in that time, it was very confusing. You're navigating family dynamics and history and where it should be, where it shouldn't be with the businesses, and then you have these 2 children, and my firstborn did have a health journey when he was younger, so I was very committed and involved in his health. And I think my identity, I thought, was McDonald's, and I thought that's what I was meant to do. But what I realised through that process is my commitment to my children was number one, and making sure that we got through that journey without them knowing that there was really a lot of conflict behind the scenes. And I think genuinely, hand on heart, and if my ex-husband was sitting here, I think we did that really well. And I actually can't believe we got through that and were able to come through and now speak on terms of like a form of a friendship. But I think the identity piece for me of walking away from McDonald's, I was torn for so long, and the Kailo journey then had started because I wanted to make sure I had something of my own. But then there was the opportunity to potentially have the McDonald's stores. So I had Kailo and then was working at McDonald's for a period of time for about 12 months to the point of nearly burnout. So I'd start at like 4 a.m. at McDonald's, work until 11 midday, then come to Kailo. And then what I realised, I was really unhappy. McDonald's wasn't what I wanted. and I didn't get accepted to become the franchisee, and they didn't want a divorced couple to both be in the system. So they were like, you can keep trying, but the answer is going to be no. So that moment of no was the most devastating day. I spent 48 hours sitting on the couch. I remember my now husband was like, you'll get through this. I'm like, I can't. But then I realised by the end of that 48 hours of processing, I actually don't want this. Like, the reason I was doing this was for family, because I thought that's what I should do. My heart is Kailo, and that's who I am. And so it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I wouldn't change any of it. I would go through that exact same process all over again.
Yeah.
And
I think you touched on something so important, is that us as women, we can carry that shame and it does really impact how honest we can be with ourselves, with what it is that we really want. So you were quite brave. I mean, I know they said you can't have it, but then you're quite brave to think, well, I'm going for what I want anyway.
Yeah, and it was really interesting. The day I remember sitting in head office, and I actually thought that the answer would be yes, and that this is also so confronting, and ego comes into play here. But I remember the gentleman, the poor guy, he had to deliver the news that McDonald's is not going to accept this situation, and they've actually changed the rules that only bloodline now can, in a married couple, whereas my ex-husband wasn't bloodline because of this, how complicated. We were the first second generation couple to now divorce, and they'd never had that, so they had to say no. Poor guy, I might burst into tears. I was a hysterical mess sitting in this big boardroom, and the guy was like, oh, did you want to go to the bathroom or something? I said,
just get out of my office.
And I said, I'm so sorry. It's just all the years of hard work and then working 2 jobs for the last 12 months to get to this point. I'm just having a bit of a moment, I think. I couldn't control the emotion. It just was there. And now I feel really lucky, because longer term I can show my children what a mother can do, but they've also still got the legacy of McDonald's sitting there if they ever choose to go there anyway. It's
still there.
It's still there. And I think that's what I was like, oh, it finishes here. And then my mum's like, well, your children they can carry that on. And I feel like then I was like, oh, I feel safe now with this. It's okay. And then there's that guilt with your parents. They work so hard to give that opportunity. So, but yeah, it's all exactly how it should be.
And do you feel like that point in your life, the divorce and having young kids, do you think that sparked something in you that still lives within you today?
Oh, 100%. It sparked that I'm capable of achieving whatever I put my mind to. It completely changed me as a person. If I look back to who I was before the divorce, I probably was more on the submissive side of the relationship and more in my element, which is something to be proud of anyway as a mum. But what it did is really show me, I guess I always wanted to be the entrepreneur, but did I believe I could do it? No. And I think it sparked a drive that I didn't know I even had. I didn't know that I could push to that level. Yeah, so it's the best thing that ever happened.
I think that's so powerful for a lot of women who maybe be in a relationship that they're wondering, who will I be afterwards? And and I think that's really powerful to hear. So thank you for sharing that.
No, it's okay. I've never shared any of this before. So.
Have you not?
Never.
Oh, it's exclusive over here.
Never had this conversation before.
Okay, all right, perfect. So what's the vision and the identity that you have of yourself now that when you look back, you can kind of see such a difference? And what would you give that advice to that version of you back then?
I think what I'm starting to realise, and I think it still will, for anyone, all of us have a perception that happens through childhood that you don't even know you carry. So I wasn't great at school and always carried that feeling that I was not academically great. So then you put yourself in a box. And so I didn't go to university, and I've always learnt by doing, and I've always found my way that way. And I think what I now realise is maybe I do have some intelligence and maybe I am capable, but you live because of how you were treated at school, and I started school too early, so I always felt confused at school, then repeated year 5, so then you had that shame of oh, I'm dumb. I think that generation too, you were put in a box. You had I don't know how it was over here or in the UK, but in Australia you would be put in classes, but you knew, oh, you're in the dumb grade, like you're in the, if you're not in the A or the B class, you're in the C or the D. And so I think I carried that so all the way through, probably up until really in the last 12, 18 months, where I'm like, oh, maybe I can do this, like, yeah. And I will always struggle with, I always thought I didn't have the degree, I didn't finish year 12, I left school like a couple of months before the end of year 12, and there was always that embarrassment around that.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I'm really proud of that, because without all that, I still did this. So I'm starting to come into that.
And what did you have to let go of to be able to say, and I am going to come back on this because you said I think I'm intelligent, so we're going to figure that. You definitely are. But there's still a bit where it's like not completely owning the fact that you're obviously a clearly bright, intelligent, smart woman.
Yeah.
So what did you have to let go of to get here? And then I'll ask you the other one.
Did I have to let go of? I think my husband has played a big role. He is an academic, so he's, Doctor of Innovation and Technology. So here I literally meet the match of everything I'm scared of, right? of everything I feel like I resemble the opposite. And he's like, anything you put your mind to, you could go and study if you wanted to. I've always had this fear of study. And I think, what have I had to let go of? I think I've had to let go that having a degree makes you more important. I've always put people on a pedestal who've studied. And so if I'm in a room with people who've really achieved in that way, I always will become a little bit less chatty, or I'll feel a bit nervous. And now I've let go of that. And I'm like, actually, I can talk at your level too, because I've become more worldly. I'm street smart. I've had to learn everything by self-learning. I watch people. I do a lot of behavioural, like that's how I learn. So like, yeah, when you're in a room, I feel like my intelligence is reading people and going, oh, this meeting's not going well, or that person's uncomfortable, what's going on over there? And I think not everybody has that. So that's my area of expertise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
You can have a degree and not know how to run a room.
Yes.
And that's not really going to serve you as a CEO at all.
Yeah.
What do you still need to let go of so that the next time you're in a podcast you can say, I am, rather than I think I am?
I probably still need to let go a little bit more of that. Like I wouldn't say I'm 100% there yet. Yeah, so I think it's getting comfortable that you don't have those qualifications. But really, I have all the qualifications, because once you go through any form of startup business journey, it's just, you can't teach that at university. And that's what my husband says. Now he's joined the business the last 2 years, and he's like, wow, what I've been teaching and what I've learnt, actually, we need to translate differently as lecturers, because you can never learn what he's learned. And he goes and he's like, I'm such a better lecturer now because I'm living it with you and I understand it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always think that what we believe holds us back, it does serve us on some level, and that's why we hold on to it, because we think if we let it go, maybe we won't be X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
What do you think, having that belief that maybe I'm not as intelligent, how do you think it has served you? Like, what do you think it actually has provided you?
Well, it's driven me, I would say my drive has been to prove a point. So if I think about that McDonald's moment, and I have a whole hierarchy of men, and I'm not a man hater by any means. Like, I love learning from men, and I have an incredible supportive husband, but I do remember that feeling of, I have all these men telling me that something's not possible. Never am I going to allow that to happen to me again. So I'll go show you that you should have chosen me as a great representative. And that's not against McDonald's either. That was just the way it was meant to be. But that definitely fueled something in me.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I really want something, I can go and get it. But no one's going to tell me I can't do something.
Yeah. So imagine what it would be like to just, without that, what I think the world is ready.
Yeah.
Is ready for that version of you. And you. And so what motivated you to start the spas and, to get that all started?
Yeah, Kailo really came, I've always been passionate about the holistic side of health, and I've had my own journey when I was in my late teens, just with lots of chronic gut issues and reflux. But when I had children, and when my son was having his health journey, and the option that was given to us in Australia was, here's some medication, and I just remember thinking, no, he's not going to be a victim to his DNA. I'm sure there's other options out there. Let's see what's possible before going down that road. And sent me on a journey, and I ended up living in LA back and forth for almost 2 years, doing different treatments over there, all with incredible doctors, but a different approach to what we had in Australia. And what I saw living in LA at the time, this is 2014, 2015, was all of this great, it's kind of like where Dubai is now. They were kind of leading it at the time. And I thought, Australia doesn't have this. We don't have all of this longevity and wellness and spa together. And there was a big gap in the market in Australia, so there was this opportunity to create Kailo, but on a luxury level too. And there's no disrespect, but sometimes those holistic avenues aren't always in the setting that you might want them to be. And I think there was room to, let's elevate that. And so Kailo was born out of a passion for finding different options and what's out there and researching a better way. And just my own, being a consumer myself of those different types of modalities, but wanting to put it in the luxury space.
Yeah, and I also love how you've also used what we were talking about before, that I didn't have a degree, that drive of you're not gonna, I need to prove it, that look what it was born out of and what that drive actually created, the research and everything that you did as well. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, so my husband says to me, now you should go to uni. I'm like, I'm not doing it now. I'm too old. But he's like, you prove that you can research whenever it's something that's really important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kailo was born, and then so you had these spas where people were coming in, and then COVID hit, and
that was tough.
You're running a business that's actually illegal because you can't touch anyone.
Yeah.
You can't breathe next to someone. And what did that do to you and your business?
When COVID hit, and just being really transparent, I think it's always good to understand the true depth of a journey. It was so early in the piece of Kailo. So Kailo was only 12 months old, and we were at that stage of, you're just scraping through financially because you're building. And so we'd gotten down, we'd just ordered all our products, like skin products. So we'd outlaid over $30,000, and then you're not selling any of that. Doors have closed. You've got payroll to make. You're down to $11,000 in the bank, but payroll's higher than that. And this is where team is everything. So there was 3 people in the team that showed up, and we were allowed to go into the clinic by law. And so we were able to make phone calls to our guests and ship out product. And we got all $30,000 of that product sold.
Great.
And that wasn't me. That was the girls, reaching out to their own guests. We did social media posts. And then we ended up doing a whole 6 weeks of driving more product so we can make payroll. And then the government brought in a program where they paid half your salaries. So then we were able to do skin consults over the phone, and then we were allowed to do massage. So that came back in. So we rebuilt. But at that time, I actually thought, we're not going to make it through this. And I'm sure so many businesses faced that, and so many businesses didn't make that. So we were lucky because Queensland opened up, and Australia as a country, we didn't have it that bad. So we were then able to trade normally because we were cut off as a state. So nobody anywhere else in Australia could get into Queensland. We just lived our normal life.
Great.
So it actually then was able to accelerate our growing the wellness side, IVs, etc. So it allowed us to innovate and push the business in a different direction. And then that's why Kailo Nutrition was born. Yeah.
And I love the nutrition side because it's like you kind of have got in at the right time, isn't it? Because everyone now is looking about not just, for a long time, it's very much what we look at on the outside, and it's so much on the inside now. What would someone who's a complete novice about where to start in terms of looking at longevity and wanting to improve how they feel on the inside, what would you advise them, or what would you tell them to look out for?
I think the number one thing for all of us to make sure that is thriving is our gut health, because our immune system sits in our gut, and if that is not working, and most of us, the majority of people have some form of issue going on with their gut, just with the microplastics and all the toxins that we have and sugars and all the different things that we do to our diet, and that's where a lot of our problems will stem from, whether it's autoimmune disease or any stress, cortisol, everything will then come out of that, and your gut and brain speak to each other, and so if that's not functioning mentally, you don't feel good. So I always say to people, and you can often ask when someone starts talking about their health, it always ends up coming back, whether it's your skin, sleep, whatever, there'll be something going on with your gut or your nutrition.
So you've got a busy woman, got children. and she's like, right, I want to look after my gut health. And what is the first thing you would tell her to do?
I would tell her to look at the foods that she's eating, and then maybe look at potentially an anti-inflammatory protocol where you remove foods and let your gut settle down before bringing back those foods. I would, of course, tell them to take Kailo Nutrition Feel Well, because we've formulated it for the everyday person.
So is that something you take in the morning?
Yeah, so you take it on an empty stomach, and it's got, your aloe vera, your L-glutamine. Most people have leaky gut, so I'd be focusing on taking some form of supplement that will support your gut. It's got your prebiotics, your probiotics. And then if people are really invested and interested, you can do like microbiome testing, and then you can really find out what's going on. Because sometimes with the probiotics too, you may need something different to what I may need. So we've done sort of like your base formula, but to advance your health, I would be doing the gut testing. It's actually amazing to do.
Yeah.
You learn so much about your health.
And how do you do the test? Is it like a blood test? Is it saliva?
It's a stool test, and then they send it away for testing, and then you get all your results on your microbiome, and yeah, it's incredible.
Are you bringing it to Dubai?
Well, you can do all of those things here.
Can you?
Yeah. We had an incredible talk with Dr. Adil Khan the other night about fecal transplants and where that's going.
Wow.
And how we will get to a point of stool banking for better microbiome, and you'll be banking your own healthy stools from when you're like 18, 19, so that later in life, if you've got issues, you can then have your own fecal transplant of your own, and then it will sort out your microbiome. How amazing.
And I had no idea.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, a stool.
Yeah, I know, that's like the nicest way of saying it. I know, we do.
Come to pick up my stool.
Well, you do it when you have your children, with stem
cells. Yeah,
so he said that will be the next thing. And, if you have the right microbiome, it's like your metabolism. So we were talking about, that could remove people needing to use GLP-1s, and because then if your system's working, everything else is working, your hormones are working. So fascinating.
Okay, great. I've learned something new today. I love that. I'm going to go get checked. So let's talk about the business. So you said it's female only. What was your motivation behind that? Or did it just happen by accident?
I think organically the beauty industry is mainly female, but I think for us we've always pushed for that, we have a lot of mums in our business, flexible working arrangements to support that, and there's nothing more powerful than supporting women coming up through as well. My husband, since he's joined, he's the only male. I think we've got 53 women, and he's the only male in the business, and he's on the nutrition side, but he's definitely learned a lot about women since having
I bet.
But for us, I think being proudly female-owned, female-founded, it goes back to that legacy of like wanting to, for me, it's about showing my children, that it doesn't matter whether you're male or female, you can do that like this too. But also I've got sons as well. I want my sons to see, and look up to their mother so that they treat their partner properly when they get married one day. And for my daughter, I just want her to believe that she can do whatever she puts her mind to.
Yeah, well, your children definitely have a great role model.
Yeah, thank you.
Either way, your son and your daughter. Yeah. So you've achieved that. So.
Yeah.
Well done. And in terms of like a lot of my clients that I coach on a one-to-one level, they're CEOs. And one of the things that I find is that they come to me and say, I started this business because I'm so passionate. And then it gets to the point where most of what they're doing is people management and managing people. How would you say you've navigated that and managed, like you've started with 3, now you're 53. What would you say to anyone starting out and looking to expand? What tips would you give them on how to deal with those difficult dynamics that naturally come up regardless of how good the culture is?
Yeah, I think the key thing in your team as you're growing your business is to always make sure that the people you recruit, and I learned this through doing actually a business course myself, is recruit talent, not an employee. So there's a big difference between someone showing up to work and clocking on and clocking off to someone who believes in the mission and the vision. When someone believes in what you're doing, and then you can grow them to then be leaders within your business too, they can then support to do the people management with you, because you can't do it all yourself. You need to have eyes and ears everywhere. So I can proudly say that our leaders are the right fit for the business and they're able to do that. But I would say that would be the best advice, is choose genuine talent. don't just recruit because you need someone desperately. Take the time to make sure that all your non-negotiables as a team member need to be in that person you're recruiting.
I have to say that there's something that I can see that you're probably not noticing.
Okay.
Is that you're the one with the really clear vision. And that's why your team can see it from you. Because you can hire really good people, but if the leader and the person who's at the front isn't able to communicate that vision, and I've seen it so many times, so actually that really does come down to you. I think you're obviously very good at communicating the vision to them and keeping it alive, and it's not like talk about it once for the new year on our strategy meeting and it's in, and that's it, we don't talk about it again. I think you live and breathe the mission for your business.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day that our number one most important part of our business, we're a service business and it's about exceptional service delivery. It's my most passionate, and I think the team definitely know that about me for sure. I would agree with you on that. If they were to say what's Kristy passionate about, it's going above and beyond to make sure that every guest that comes into our business walks away fully taken care of with whatever health journey that they're choosing to go on.
Yeah. I think you can see. I think leadership as well. So much of it comes from self-leadership.
It does, and I think there's so much learning. If I think about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years, every part you grow and you learn, and you have to be able to remove your ego at times and be accountable, because you're forever learning. You're never going to be the perfect leader. There's no such thing. But you need really good people around you to also sometimes let you know when you need to shift, or, you've got to be open to those conversations too.
Yeah, you've got a really amazing inspirational story. It's
you.
Been really amazing having you. What is the biggest lesson that you've had to learn about yourself as your business has got more and more successful?
Probably right now, my biggest lessons are right now. And when we were in the growing stage, and I think we went international very quickly, unexpectedly quickly, and there was so much learning in that. You're so in it at the time you don't see. So my biggest lesson is around the financial spends to facilitate the expansion, and what I've learned now looking back and what we're doing now as a team is being more curated and more, I guess, considered in every approach. Like, is this the right direction right now? Because opportunities will always come, but you can't get caught up in every opportunity. And I think that is, I love to say yes. And then sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, we're burnt out as a team. We can't do it all. And then it affects your team. So I think the financial side and how much you need to invest in different directions, and just, you don't always need to say yes. It's not because you don't want to. Is it the right
timing? So, the last 8-12 months has been my biggest lessons. Yeah.
What has been something that you've said no to that you found really difficult and knew that it was right for business?
I remember there was an opportunity to open another wellness med spa down in Victoria, and was 3/4 into that opportunity and then pulled out. Just knew this is not the right time. We're not ready to handle this. And it's hard because it was like an incredible opportunity.
Great.
It would have been so overwhelming had we done it then. We wouldn't have been able to do the nutrition at the same time. So I remember that being really hard to say no to.
Yeah. And it actually really brave as well to say, as you said, you were halfway through the way and just say no.
You don't want to let someone down. Just being going back and forth with you, flying down to all these big meetings looking at design, and you say no, you always feel like you're letting someone down. But yeah, I think that's a lesson too, of just being in strength and knowing that, so being a true leader, you have critical to say no confidently to.
Yeah.
It's it's okay.
And it's hard. It is hard. It's hard. And what do you do on a daily basis? Because you've got a big, successful international business, long may it continue. What do you think you do yourself to keep you grounded, to deal with the overwhelm?
I think surround myself by really good people, reach out to people. I'm in the stage right now of reaching out to different people who have been successful and asking advice and clarity. I think I need more clarity, so I'm trying to do that. But my practices are at home, get up an hour before everyone else. So with 3 children, I choose to get up at 4 before 30 every morning.
Yes. I'm struggling with 5 a.m. Not 5 a.m. Sorry, I tried 3 times. I'm so tired. What time do you go to bed?
Oh, I'm going to bed at 9:30.
Yeah, but then it's
if I don't get up early, I feel like I can't get on top of my day. So it's just that time to yourself, have a coffee, whatever it is you like to do. And Pilates and my health. I look after my health. Like a few years ago, my health was not great. So my health is non-negotiable now. So for the last 2 years, I've really committed. I had gained a lot of weight, went down the autoimmune disease with Hashimoto's, so I've been able to get off 18 kilos in the last 2 years. I wasn't representing the business what I believed in. I wasn't showing up. Like, I just looked what my belief system was. So, yeah, they're non-negotiables. And boundaries, like I choose to commit more to my children too and switch off with them. That can be hard because you can be addicted to work, you know, without even knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what has been the scariest part of this journey?
Oh, the scariest part, and you know, I always think people need to talk about this more openly, and our CEO had this conversation all the time around money, how far out on the ledge you are, how far you are invested, how that level of risk, and that has been hard for my husband because he's the complete opposite of me, that if you really think about it, can take your breath away, and you could get really caught up on that fear. And you just have to keep showing up. Surely it's going to work out if you just put one quicker from the other, right?
Yeah. And that feels like a blood call you were saying that, you know, having that grounded body where you could deal with them like, ooh, and just kind of keep going.
Yeah. It creeps in and you can feel almost like a tear come sometimes where you're like, what am I doing? Anyways, am I? That all best, it's all good, it's all good. And then you just compartmentalize to keep going.
Yeah, and you had very good training as well, or to get it. Amazing. Well, got some quick fire questions. Okay, biggest regret?
No.
Favorite food?
Oh, French fries.
Not French fries. Sweet potatoes or normal?
Sweet potato.
What's the one thing that brings you heart-busting joy?
My family.
Something that you wish you knew at the beginning of your journey.
I wish I knew what I was capable of and could back myself more.
Don't need a degree.
Yeah, don't need a degree. I got a life degree.
Yeah, exactly. The best diet. What would your future self in 10 years say to you today?
Stop stressing, you're going to get there.
What book do you buy?
Oh, what book? I don't think I have a book that I've been buying. But I can think of I'm sure I do, but I can't figure out now.
Your favourite quote?
What are you willing to lose? Or throw me, the other one is like, throw me into the wolves and I'll come back leading the pack is another one that I'd like to live by.
I like that.
Yeah.
You did it on again.
Throw me to the wolves and I'll come back leading the pack.
You need to do that.
Yeah, it's a good one. I actually have as a reacher of it. Yeah, I used to send it sometimes to the team, our leadership team. I don't know if they remember, but there was a period where we were in the really trying to grow and it was really stressful. And I'm like, you know, sometimes you get thrown out and it feels like you've got wolves everywhere. And you can lead that, you know? And I think when you have those moments where you come out of it, you really like, yeah, I've got this, like I do this. Yeah.
And leading as well, not just like, right, the front.
Yeah, love it.
And so what's next for you, next as a brand?
I think next for us is our commitment to building the strong foundation of a movement. We're really passionate. It's not about being the product on a shelf. It's not about, you know, being like a brick and mortar. It is about how are we continuing to educate, help, and change people's lives with their health. And I think our commitment right now is strong in that space. And we're really committed to the UAE journey. I'm so impressed with this place and the people and the way people are so opening their communities to you. They're inviting you in, and our commitment is to show up and deliver.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Kirsty, thank you so much. You've been such an amazing guest. It's been so honest and honourable. Where can everyone find you and find your products?
So here in the UAE, you can purchase from Grandiose. We also have Kailo.ae, and you can purchase online through there. If you go to Kailo, which is KAILO_AUS, that's how you can find us on the social media. And yep.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.